Welcome. Thank you for joining us for this presentation on building, repairing, and inspiring trust in VUCA environments. Environments that are volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. My name is Fernando Kim, and I'm a 2019-2020 Cahn Fellow. And in a moment, you will get to meet Mr. Cesar Solorio, our Cahn ally as well. We both hail from the city of Chicago, at a magnet school called Gonzalez Scholastic Academy, and we're very grateful to spend this time with you, sharing with you how to, again, build, repair, and inspire trust during very difficult and complex and challenging times. So join us. A little bit of historical context is important as we discuss why this is important to the work we embarked on through the Cahn Fellowship during the 2019-2020 school year. Our school had been on an upwards trajectory in terms of academic improvement over the last 7 years or so. But during the last 2 to 3 years, we've seen a flatlining and even some regression in our performance as well. And so as a community, we tried many different things over the period of those 2 years, and the results continue to be the same, if anything, more concerning as well. And so we joined the Cahn Fellowship at the right time of exploration and self-reflection, as well as we looked into the root causes of what may have caused this type of performance at a school of about 730 students with a staff of almost 100 educators as well. During the Cahn project, we were able to create this project board with images that symbolize our journey up to this point. And we want to be able to present that to you as a way of breaking down our steps on how we were able to build, repair, and inspire trust. And shortly you will hear from Mr. Solorio on how this process has worked in his own development as a school leader and educator as well. Our main driving question that we started with was, how do we improve lower levels of staff, growth mindset, and grit for rapid learning without jeopardizing staff self-care and staff principal trust? We wanted rapid learning because we knew that we needed to try many different things and innovate in order to see different results. However, we saw that that was not happening at our school. And so we embarked on a search by starting with the first step, which was, how do we focus on repairing and building the trust that we definitely felt we needed as a staff and as a community of learners and leaders, and also building a growth mindset that produces the type of grit that can produce success at every level and at any time. Another step that we felt that we needed to take, and we took, was to be responsive to feedback in our journey. We looked at what's coming out of the University of Chicago, the 5 Essential Survey for data and information that pointed to the need to build stronger bonds between staff and principals and leadership, and also the need to build grit in our community, in our students, and also in our educators. We also use internal middle of the year, end of the year surveys to complement this district-wide survey that we were using here in Chicago. One of the things that we wanted to see with rapid iteration was the model that we see here from the Marshmallow Challenge that some of you may be familiar with. We noticed that our way of working through the years has been to build towards this final product. Just continue to work, do the same things, and then hope that at the end of our time, of our school year, we would see different results. But we wanted to switch the strategy to rapid iteration and learning by taking the approach of what kindergartners do during the Marshmallow Challenge, which is to design, build, and test in a cyclical manner as often as possible, and learn from the mistakes and the misconceptions that they are able to surface as well. And so this was our desired behavior that we wanted to build together as fellow and ally during this year. How to move them from just hugging and feeling secure and safety that did not produce better results, by moving them with faith and trust towards risk-taking and vulnerability in order to innovate and really make positive change in practice here at our school. But how do we get to that point? We needed to analyze the root cause as to why our community here at Gonzales was not taking risks. Why were our teachers feeling the need to hide and not put themselves out there with their practice, open up their practice to others and share more, and feel like they could take risks without having some sort of negative consequence or repercussion befalling them. And one of the things that we realized as we engaged in this deep root analysis during this year was that I was responsible for that. As the main principal and leader of our school community, I was creating a culture of fear. A culture in which educators were not able to be fully themselves. They could not come and show up to work to be met exactly as they were and supported from where they found themselves, scaffolded up towards success and proficiency. Instead, they felt afraid that they couldn't make mistakes, that they had to be perfect, that there was no room for error. And if there were errors, perhaps they would not continue to work here. I honestly didn't think I was such a scary individual, but it took openness and feedback from others and real soul searching and conversations with my ally and partner, Mr. Solorio, to come to terms that I was a key lever to grow and change and improve in order to see better results in our community. So we were privileged to have access during this Cahn Fellowship year to world-class faculty, educators, and experiences that we wouldn't have otherwise had the opportunity to experience. We also had access to national leaders and allies who really are doing amazing work throughout this country in various cities that Cahn Fellowship works with. Having access to them and their knowledge and their experiences really helped us on this journey to really build, repair, and inspire trust that we need to navigate difficult circumstances and situations and get the results that we all seek together. We are also very grateful to have fellow advisors that acted as thought partners and coaches along the way to help us reflect and improve. And perhaps most importantly about the Cahn Fellowship program is the relationship and the growth that both ally and fellow experience together as they collaborate and problem solve together. And that was an honor and a blessing to me to work with Mr. Solorio. The global pandemic put a halt that required us to pivot and adjust. COVID brought what we previously termed a VUCA environment, a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment. But if it wasn't for the learning that we had been experiencing and the community of support that we had in the Cahn program and the fellowship, but also in the Cahn Fellow and Ally partnership, we don't know if we would have been able to navigate this pandemic as successfully and positively as we've did. So now, I want to connect you and introduce you to our wonderful ally, Mr. Solorio, to share a little bit of how his story takes place and shape as a result of this learning in the midst of this global pandemic, to really build, repair, and inspire trust that we need.
Thank you, Fernando, and good afternoon, everyone that's joining us today. My name is Cesar Solorio, and I am the Dean of Culture here at Gonzalez. And I just would like to speak to you guys a little bit about what Cahn has done for me and the impact that it's had on my growth and how it's given me the opportunity to see leadership firsthand. And when I joined Cahn, when Fernando chose me to be his ally, one thing that I felt that I needed to work on was my confidence. I lacked it in many areas. I was afraid to be open-minded. And one thing that Cahn has helped me is the ability to persevere through adversity. Trusting my decision-making skills. I needed that so I could become a leader that I know deep down I was destined to be. Confidence in making executive decisions is part of growing. It's part of becoming a great leader. And Cahn and this journey has helped me not only with that, but also having a growth mindset along with being reflective. And what comes with that is improving some of the skills that I felt I needed to work on. Open-minded and reflection is something here at GSA that Fernando and I were working on this entire year. We wanted to have those conversations, those difficult conversations with our staff. And for our staff to take the feedback as positive intent, to create this culture of feedback. And with all that, we needed to build healthy habits. And for myself, during this pandemic, I had to create some healthy habits for myself, at home, at work. Creating this work-life balance. Doing some of the things that I know make me happy. Doing things that distress me. That's spending time with my family, with my wife, and little things that I know that can get my mind fresh and ready for the next morning. So I can put in that 110%, not just for myself, but for our community that desperately needed it during this pandemic. With all that, it was something special for me. Something that I had to wrap my head around. During this pandemic, no one knew what was going to happen tomorrow, today, next year. And that was creating this anxiety of the uncertain, the unknown. And I had to adapt quickly and come up with strategies for our community. And I had to set aside my personal fears and become an even stronger pillar of the GSA community. were labeled as essential workers, and we needed to be in the building for our families, for our staff. But yet, we had the option to stay home. After speaking with my wife, my family, Fernando, we decided it was best for me to continue coming into the building. We needed all the support we possibly can so that our community can get access to the things that they needed. I had to step up and be a team player in all of this. And if it wasn't for Cahn, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, I would have panicked. I might have just said, you know what, I'm going to stay home. But with this journey, I felt that it was needed for me. I needed to step up. I needed to show that I have confidence in myself. I felt deep down I needed to prove to Fernando that I can do this. I owed it to myself. And with so many changes going on, staff changes, 2 administrators transitioning out, one of our assistant principals being on maternity leave, I felt like Fernando really needed me. Our community needed me. Our staff needed me. From taking a position of Dean of Culture, of security, of supporting with behavior issues, to feeling like I was becoming an assistant principal alongside Fernando. And what came with that were new responsibilities. Some responsibilities that the city, the state, many states were having questions about. Schools getting shut down, remote learning. Well, how are our families going to get access to technology? How are they going to continue growing? How are they going to stay active? These are the questions that everyone had. And it was up to me to provide our families with access, to provide our students with Chromebooks and iPads and laptops, and provide our staff with all the equipment they needed so they can provide this education to our students. And I felt that with mistakes and all, I needed to do this. And the support that I received from Fernando during this journey, firsthand, I was able to really gain the trust that he would have in everyone in our building. I was able to gain it and take action with it. There were times where I felt I shouldn't be in this with Fernando. I just don't think I am ready for this. But he kept pushing me and pushing me. Till one day I realized, you know what? I can do this. And I've had conversations with Fernando over the last year or so, and especially during the pandemic, when I was working with him side by side, and just him giving me all the trust to make executive decisions and to give me feedback and to take that feedback, reflect, and take action, and for him to see the improvement over and over, and for him to notice that, for him to give me that opportunity to grow right next to him. I was truly grateful, and I'm going to continue being grateful of not only of this experience with Cahn, with the other allies and the other fellows, but just this relationship that I have built with Fernando. We've built a brotherhood that I will never forget and that I will never take for granted. And I know that this journey is not over and that it's just the beginning. So thank you.
At GSA, we like to say that we're building stories that matter. And you just heard a very inspiring story from Mr. Solorio, in which trust was built, trust was repaired, and trust was being inspired through the person of Cesar Solorio to our entire community here at Gonzales Scholastic Academy. So how did I continue to grow? Thanks to an ally like Mr. Solorio and a community of Cahn fellows and allies and faculty that supported me. Well, let's finish our storyboard here. One of the things that we learned was to really focus on empathy over assumptions and really connect at the human level. Our classes and sessions with Professor Ellie Drago-Siverson really helped us to really reflect in really approaching our conversations that we have, the professional conversations that we have, equipped with information, with data, but do it with a sense of empathy and compassion and curiosity that acknowledges that each person is unique, that each person has strengths and proficiencies and areas of growth to be supported. That type of empathy over assumptions that I possessed over all these years was something that was being worked on during this past year. So one of the things that we decided to do was to meet everybody exactly where they found themselves, to hold regular meetings. We reflected that the interactions that a principal and educators would have on a yearly basis, most of the time were during formal observation cycles. Outside of that, there was the occasional connection to get something like a support in regards to materials needed, technology, a quick fix that could be acquired on the part of the educator, but nothing of the sort that builds a relationship with deep roots growing over a period of time. So the approach that we took was that of teeth brushing. Brushing one's teeth for 2 minutes on its own does nothing or does little to improve one's hygiene. But if that habit and practice of doing so is repeated 3 times a day, 7 days a week, over a year, 2, and more, a lifetime, that has a great impact. And so with that transparent approach communicated to our staff, we said, we want to meet with each other at least monthly and as frequently as possible so that we're not meeting one another and getting to know one another when there's the transactional interaction taking place or when it is evaluative. So during those monthly meetings, we decided to build together an environment that was psychologically safe. An environment where educators can be themselves and take risks and not be punished or not fear. A brave space. As Nikki Jones shares in her writing, a brave space is such a place. Together we will create a brave space because there is no such thing as a safe space. We exist in the real world. We all carry scars and we all have caused wounds. In this space, we seek to turn down the volume of the outside world. We amplify voices that fight to be heard elsewhere. We call each other to more truth and love. We have the right to start somewhere and continue to grow. We have the responsibility to examine what we think we know. We will not be perfect. This space will not be perfect. It will not always be what we wish it to be, but it will be our brave space together, and we will work on it side by side. This was a proposition between administrator and educator and staff that we committed to. And together, we are building and are creating what Amy Edmondson calls the learning zone within a psychologically safe environment. Not a comfort zone or an apathy zone or an anxiety zone, but a learning zone in which rapid iteration, innovation, and creativity can take place. How do we do that? Well, we have a short video we prepare for you that breaks down the process here at Gonzalez. That gratitude carried me and our community through the paralyzing fear and anxiety caused by the pandemic. Every time we met and gathered, we decided to enter those spaces with empathy and grace for one another, knowing full well that each of us might be experiencing the same type of turbulence that I experienced during the loss of my father. That's why it was important to me as a leader to listen, to see, and to recognize that everyone in my community and I needed the same things. So what did I do? I decided to connect. Connect by asking, how are you? How's your family? I also chose to celebrate the small wins we gain every week under the most difficult and challenging circumstances. And we closed every meeting by completing this statement together. I am grateful for. This newly developed ritual of connecting, of celebrating, and closing with gratitude is something that energized the soul and fed our minds. So what did I learn? I learned that in the midst of personal loss and fear, there's opportunity for leaders to create a psychologically safe space. A psychologically safe space is fertile ground for creativity, risk-taking, and innovation. Fear does not have to be paralyzing. Fear is merely an opportunity for preparation. Fear is an invitation for leaders to meet their people exactly where they are. As I sit here, I feel my Father helping me ask aloud, how do I serve and lead the people I love? By investing in the power of human connection, the gift of celebration, and the hope grown in the soil of gratitude and appreciation. We want to highlight how we created these rituals during this pandemic that inspire trust, that repair broken trust, and was building new trust and confidence in all of us in our school community. One such meeting that we held weekly, and we still do now bi-weekly, is what we call the Ubuntu, I am because we are type of meeting. It's a meeting where we come together to celebrate, to connect and team build, but also to cross-pollinate and learn from one another. To innovate during this remote learning period, educators share with each other practices that have helped them stay afloat, survive, and even thrive in the midst of uncertainty and ambiguity. These weekly meetings, about an hour long, have been an anchor in giving us a sense of normalcy, along with all other learning meetings that we've had during the week and the months. So at the end, we find ourselves still on the journey. We know that this is a marathon, not a sprint, in which we constantly have to get on the dance floor and then look up from the balcony as well to see that we're going on the right path towards meeting our goals. And our goal is simple here at Gonzales. We want all of our students to know and be able to build lives and stories in which they are the protagonists as global citizens and servant leaders that make a positive impact, that have the skills and the will and the drive and the heart to affect that type of change. So this quote by Maya Angelou is what we feel at this present moment in time. We did in the past what we knew then, but now that we know better, we seek to do better each and every day. And to that, we're very grateful to you and to our entire Cahn Fellows community for giving us this opportunity to be on this journey and keep on learning, keep on growing, and keep on serving our community as we inspire trust, as we repair trust, and as we build trust together. Thank you so much. We hope this has been helpful. On behalf of Mr. Solorio and I, here from Gonzales Scholastic Academy in Chicago, we wish you safety, much love, and many blessings to you and your loved ones. Thank you.